good to see you all. When people ask me what I've been up to, I begin to explain about Purnell School, where I lived and worked for 20 years, and how I'm helping to create an alumni association out of the ethers. And I found myself giving this analogy a few times. I was happy to be the midwife, but I don't want to be the mother. Here's the history, for those of you that don't know it. So the Purnell campus was sold in 2021 to Pingree School, and as there were for students, there were some Zoom meetings for former faculty to learn all what was happening. So with my 20 years here and all those years as the post-Purnell editor, I became the self-appointed, keep everyone contacted person within the faculty. Many of whom were already my good friends, and those who wanted to we continued to get together on Zoom. So every few months, back in early 2022, after one of these former faculty Zoom gathering, it had dwindled down to Wendy, Diane Armstrong, Maria Bowditch, who promises to be here next year, Becky Dickinson, and Jeannie Mullet-Forster, and myself, and we got talking. What was going to happen? You know, it all seemed so sudden, the complete disappearance of a place that had been such an important part of our lives. Was the website still up? No, why would it be? Who's going to pay for it once the school closes? So we had also heard about in the sales agreement to Pingree that there was some kind of an annual visitors day that had been promised, but nothing was definite, nobody knew anything about anything. So those 5 faculty members that I mentioned, they each chipped in $50, enough to host a website for the year, and I pulled together a little website that could be a central information point for Purnell alumni. We sleuthed and we got a hold of the database for all of Purnell alumni, which belonged to Pingree by that point. We sent out an email to everyone and we got a ton of bounce backs. We asked people to volunteer to be their class's representative. The days and the weeks ticked by, and we went in circles to determine who was the Pingree contact person, and we finally got a specific date for the first Visitors Day. And Jeannie Mullet-Forster, who graduated in '76, agreed to host it because it was really too late for asking people for money at that point. Some of you were here. Who was here last year? You wonderful people. And so you'll remember it was a good day, and it was attended by more people than this year. So after input from the big alumni meeting, we were going to have it in here, and it ended up being in the dining room. Wendy and I worked to organize a group of alum from various decades to create a steering committee, and we met by Zoom a few times and communicated by email. It was at one of those group Zoom meetings that the idea of Purnell Happy Hours came up, suggested by you, Beth, I think. And this is Beth Schoeneck-Crandall from the class of 2009. Those happy hours were fun, especially when people came, and especially when there was a new face here or there. So this year, we put out feelers for this Visitors Day. We sent out a survey, about 100 people answered of who was likely to come. And it seemed like it was enough to carry on a second year, and Sarah Gamble, who was on the steering committee, volunteered to head it up for this year. And she has been absolutely wonderful, and she included researching a dinner that I know some of you are going to tonight, where to stay, even transportation from the airport. Plus we live in the same time zone, so that makes it easy for late night texts.
California group.
So now, out of the 1,000 or so graduates in our database, we have working email addresses for about 60% of them. When we want to send out an announcement to all those girls, I have to copy and paste 25 addresses at a time into an email and send it. So the likelihood of not going in spam. I have to do this about 40 times to reach everybody. So one thing we really need to do is purchase an annual subscription to Constant Contact or one of those mass email services that makes everything 100 times easier and faster, and you can control who gets what letters or whatever. That costs about $150 a year. I updated the website purnellschool.org several times throughout the year, and Beth has had a hand in that as well, and you'll hear more about that. I made a point of posting regularly on the Purnell School Facebook page. Oh, that's a whole other story, making sure that people who want to be friends on the Purnell Facebook page actually went to Purnell. Anyway, financially, I set up an account with Ally Bank online, which was a feat. Gretchen Jekyll, 82, who lives in Pottersville but hasn't been able to make either of these reunions, is the co-account holder. So now we can accept Zelle payments and Venmo, so there's a charge for Venmo. And we pay for an annual Zoom subscription. That's about $150 a year. Jim Carney, bless his heart, the headmaster that I came to work under, has promised to pay for the website hosting going forward. I mean, he's not just promised, he has, which is about $250 a year. And hopefully the $20 that you paid for today will cover the lunch and snacks and a little to go into the kitty. And you saw we also have a donation jar. Many of you bought the Purnell Guidelines mugs I had made. The profit from those will also go into the kitty, but I'm even more excited about spreading those 3 guidelines far and wide. They were so central to Purnell School. So if you didn't buy one, like I said at lunch, I don't want to be taking them all home with me. In addition to donations to our Zoom-based Purnell Alumni Association, we know there are people who really want to show support for Purnell's legacy, which of course leads us to Martha Cummings and Universal Promise, which she'll be speaking about in a few minutes. I have no idea how long this Purnell Alumni Association as such will carry on. We've heard specifically from one class that they do not want to receive emails that have anything to do with Purnell campus. They want to remember it, the school as it was. And yet many others want to feel connected still, virtually or in person. And that's what you need to think about and work on. I am happy to continue being the faculty liaison or helping with communications as needed, especially with a new email program. But there needs to be continued initiative and participation coming directly from this alumni body. Not everyone is interested. People have lives. But I can't tell you how many people said, oh, I want to be there, but I have such and such happening, or I can't make it this year, but I'll be there next. And I think, if there is a next year. So I'm happy to have been the midwife, but I cannot continue to be the mother. So I'm hoping that, some good stuff is going to bubble up today or in follow-up emails among the Purnell Association so that things can keep going. So that's what I have to say.